The night was restless. In the small village of Okuta, crickets usually sang their steady song, and the moon spread her silver calm across the huts. But on that particular night, the air seemed heavy, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The wind, instead of its playful rustle through the raffia roofs, carried strange whispers. Dogs barked endlessly, and goats stamped their hooves nervously, as though unseen eyes were watching them. Inside the hut of Mama Enyo, a woman was in labor. Sweat covered her face as she gripped the wooden bedpost and groaned. The women attending her fanned her with palm fronds, chanting encouragement. "Push, Mama Enyo, push! The child is almost here." But each time she bore down, thunder cracked across the sky, though it had not rained for many moons. The earth trembled slightly, frightening the midwives. One of them, Mama Olani, muttered under her breath, "This child comes with a heavy shadow. Spirits are awake tonight." Finally, with one last cry, the baby slipped into the world. But the moment he cried, something strange happened. The thunder stopped. The animals outside grew silent, and the whispering wind fell still. Instead of the sharp, loud wails expected of a newborn, the child gave a soft, rhythmic cry, almost like the beating of a drum. Dum, 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 dum. The midwives gasped, glancing at each other with wide eyes. One of them whispered, "A spirit child, an ogbanje, or perhaps something worse." But Mama Enyo clutched her child tightly. Though weak, her eyes glowed with determination. "No, this is my son. Whatever he is mine." The village elder, Babatai, soon arrived, carrying his staff carved with ancestral symbols. He studied the child carefully. The baby's skin glistened as though dusted with fine palm oil, and his tiny hands clenched and unclenched in a curious rhythm. "What shall we call him?" Babatai asked. Mama Enyo, still trembling, answered, "His name shall be Aanu, for he is a mercy to me." But the elder shook his head slowly. "Aanu, yes, but beware, Enyo. This boy has come with drums in his blood. He will either bring salvation to Okuta or destruction." That night, after everyone had left, Mama Enyo stared at her sleeping son. She thought of the thunder, the silence, and the way his cry had mimicked a drumbeat. Her heart ached with both love and fear, and so the boy grew, marked by whispers he could not yet hear, but destined to one day awaken them. Aanu grew like every other boy in Okuta, or so it seemed at first. He chased grasshoppers in the fields, carried water from the stream, and followed the older boys when they wrestled in the sand. But the people never forgot the strange night he was born. When he ran too close to their huts, women sometimes pulled their children inside. When he reached out to join a game, some boys would hesitate, whispering, "The thunder child," but Aanu hardly noticed. He had one companion that never rejected him, the drum. Okuta was a village of drummers. The talking drum was the heartbeat of every ceremony: naming, marriage, harvest, and even war. From sunrise to sunset, rhythms floated in the air like breath itself. Aanu was barely 6 years old when he sneaked into his late father's hut and found a small drum covered in dust. Its skin was worn, its cords slack, but something about it called to him. He brushed the surface gently with his tiny hands, and the drum answered back, not with an ordinary sound, but with something alive. "Badum, badum dum, Aanu." He froze. Had he imagined it? The drum had spoken his name. Trembling, he tapped it again, this time more firmly. The rhythm returned, soft, echoing, almost like a whispering voice. "We hear you, child. We know you." Aanu's eyes widened. Who are you?" he whispered aloud. The drum throbbed beneath his hands, and though the words were not spoken, he felt them inside his bones. "We are the spirits of the drum, the keepers of sound. Few can hear us. You, child, are chosen." From that day, Anu played the drum every chance he got. His mother worried when she found him alone, drumming for hours, his eyes closed as though in a trance. Sometimes he laughed at nothing, other times he nodded, as though listening to voices only he could hear. One evening, during the Yam festival, the village gathered to dance. The master drummers beat their talking drums, making the air quake with rhythm. But suddenly, their lead drum snapped, a deep rip that silenced the music. Panic spread. Without the lead drum, the dance was broken. Before anyone could react, little Anu stepped forward, clutching his small drum. The villagers scoffed. "Hey, what can this child do? Go back, Thunder Child, before you shame us." But Anu struck the drum with both hands. Ba-dum-dum-dum. The sound that came forth was unlike anything the villagers had ever heard. It was rich, layered, alive. The drum spoke like a human tongue, weaving words inside its rhythm. "Dance, children of Okuta. Dance, for the harvest is plenty. Dance, for your ancestors are watching." Gasps filled the air. Some women screamed, covering their faces. But the drummers themselves, seasoned men who had played all their lives, stood frozen, their mouths open. Then, as if bewitched, the villagers began to dance again. Feet stamped, bodies swayed, and joy returned to the festival. When the song ended, all eyes turned to Anu. Silence. Then someone whispered, "The boy's drum, it speaks." Another muttered, "He is no ordinary child." From that day, Anu's name spread through the village. Children followed him in awe, elders studied him with suspicion, and some whispered that he carried the voice of spirits in his hands. Mama Enyo, his mother, held him tightly that night. "My son," she whispered, "your gift will either save you or destroy you." And though Anu was still a child, deep in his heart he already knew. His drum was not just an instrument, it was a door between the world of the living and something beyond. Years passed, and Anu's gift grew stronger. By the time he was 12, people no longer laughed when they saw him with a drum. They feared him. Some swore that when he drummed, shadows moved behind him. Others said they saw his eyes glaze white, as though he were no longer in this world. The children still admired him, but their parents dragged them away whenever they gathered too close. Yet even with fear hanging over him, Anu found comfort in his rhythms. His drum was his friend, his confidant, the voice of something greater than himself. But one season, a strange calamity befell Okuta. The rain stopped. For weeks, the sky remained empty, the sun merciless. Crops withered, rivers shrank to trickles, and the great yam barns, pride of the village, grew emptier each day. Goats bleated weakly, chickens dropped dead in the dust, and children cried from hunger. The elders gathered beneath the Iroko tree, their faces grave. "This is no ordinary drought," said Babate, now old and bent, his staff trembling in his hand. "The gods are angry. We must offer sacrifice." "But what sacrifice?" asked another elder. "We have offered goats, palm oil, even white cloth. Still, the sky is silent." As they argued, Anu sat on the edge of the crowd listening. His heart thudded with a rhythm only he could hear. The drum slung across his shoulder began to warm, as if alive. That night, as the village lay restless, Anu sat alone outside his mother's hut. He tapped his drum softly. Badum, badum, badum. At first, only silence answered. Then, like a breeze passing through tall grass, voices stirred within the beat. "Child of sound, the drought is not of the sky alone. Something beneath the earth stirs, something forgotten. The people must remember, or they will perish." Anu's hands trembled. "What must we do?" he whispered. The rhythm deepened, shaking the ground faintly. "Tell them. The old well at the edge of the forest must be opened. There lies the covenant their fathers abandoned." The next morning, Anu told the elders what he had heard. They stared at him as if he were mad. The old well? One scoffed. That cursed place? It has been sealed for generations. Another spat on the ground. This boy plays with spirits. He will bring doom on us all. His drum has spoken truth before. We cannot ignore him. The village was divided. Some wanted to follow Anu's message, desperate for rain. Others hissed, "Thunder child, witch boy, he brings trouble." Finally, desperation won. With weak arms and weary bodies, the villagers followed Anu to the edge of the forest. There stood the old well, overgrown with weeds, its stones cracked and blackened with age. No one had touched it in living memory. With prayers and fearful glances, they tore away the stones that sealed it. At first, nothing. Then a low rumble shook the ground. From the mouth of the well burst a cool wind, followed by the faint scent of rain. The sky darkened. Clouds gathered, and within moments, heavy drops fell, slow at first, then faster until the heavens broke open. Rain poured, soaking the cracked earth, filling the riverbeds, and washing away the dust of despair. The villagers screamed with joy, dancing and lifting their faces to the sky. Children rolled in the mud, women raised their cloths, and men shouted praises to the ancestors. But as the rain fell, a different whisper spread quietly among them. The boy called the spirits. If he can bring rain, what else can he bring? Today he saves us. Tomorrow he may curse us. Anu stood in the rain, drenched, the drum against his chest. For a moment he smiled, proud that his gift had saved his people. But as he looked at their faces, some filled with gratitude, others with fear, he felt a chill that no rain could wash away. The rains did not stop for 3 days. What had begun as salvation soon turned into unease. The streams overflowed, farmlands became waterlogged, and the yam barns threatened to rot. Villagers muttered among themselves, did we not beg for rain? But see now, it wants to drown us." Maybe the boy did not call only the rain. Maybe he called something else. Still, many praised Anu. They gave Mama Enyo baskets of food, yam tubers, and smoked fish. But the gifts came with wary eyes, as if they were not sure whether they were honoring the boy or trying to appease him. One night, when the rains finally calmed, Baba Te summoned Anu privately. The elder's hut smelled of herbs and old firewood, its walls lined with carved masks of ancestors long gone. "Anu," Baba Te said, his voice hoarse, "you must be careful. Your drum is a bridge, but bridges can carry both blessings and curses. Tell me, do the spirits speak of what lies ahead for Okuta?" Anu lowered his eyes. His hands itched to touch the drum slung across his back. "They whisper, Baba, always whisper. Sometimes I understand, sometimes I don't. But last night, they showed me something." Baba Te leaned forward. "What did they show you?" Anu hesitated. His mind flashed with the vision. A field of withered crops, flames licking the huts, and a river turned black. Over it all, he had heard a voice. Deep, ancient, sorrowful. "Okuta has forgotten the covenant. The old well is only the beginning. Unless the people return to the path of their fathers, something worse than drought will come." "I saw destruction," Anu whispered. "Fire, darkness, sickness, but I do not know when or how." The old man sighed heavily. "The people will not want to hear this, child. They only want comfort, not warnings." But the prophecy could not be hidden for long. At the next gathering, Baba Tai urged Anu to share what he had seen. The villagers sat in a wide circle beneath the Iroko tree, the night torches flickering. When Anu rose with his drum, a hush fell. He struck it once, ba-dum, twice, ba-dum-dum. The rhythm filled the air like a second heartbeat. Slowly, words began to shape themselves within the sound. "Children of Okuta, the drought was but a shadow. Fire follows water, darkness follows light. Return to the covenant of your fathers, or sorrow will consume you." The crowd shivered. Some covered their ears. Others looked around in fear, as though expecting the ground to split open. When the drum quieted, the murmurs began, again with his spirits. This boy wants to rule us with fear. Eh, did I not say? He is a witch, but a few, their faces pale, whispered, what if he speaks truth? Did he not bring rain when no one else could? The division in Okuta deepened that night. Some wanted to honor Aanu as a messenger of the ancestors. Others wanted him silenced before his drum brought worse evils. And at the heart of it all, the boy sat with his mother in their small hut, clutching his drum like a lifeline. Mama Enyo stroked his hair. My son, do not let their fear break you. A gift is a gift, no matter what men say. But Anu's heart was heavy. For the more he drummed, the louder the spirits grew, and each message seemed darker than the last. Weeks passed after the prophecy, and unease grew in Okuta. The rains had saved the crops, but the river water turned muddy and bitter. Some who drank it fell ill with swollen bellies and fevers that burned like fire. Children cried through the nights, and the healer's herbs seemed powerless. Fear stalked the village. One evening, the elders called Aanu to the square. A crowd had already gathered, their faces shadowed by torchlight. A sick child lay on a mat before them, his lips cracked, his breathing shallow. The mother, her eyes red from crying, fell to her knees before Aanu. Thunder child, spirit child, whatever you are, if the spirits truly speak to you, save my son, save him, or let us know the truth of you once and for all. The crowd murmured in agreement. All eyes turned to the boy. Anu's heart pounded. He wanted to run, to hide, but the drum on his shoulder pulsed with warmth, as though urging him forward. Slowly, he knelt by the child and began to play. Ba-dum, ba-dum, dum, ba-dum. The rhythm was soft at first, then grew stronger, echoing against the huts like 1,000 heartbeats. His eyes fluttered shut, and he felt himself drift into that other place, the space between the living and the unseen. There, voices swirled. Some were kind, some angry, some ancient and distant. Among them, one spoke clear. The water is cursed by the forgotten well. To cleanse it, return the sacred stone that was removed long ago. Aanu gasped, his hands never leaving the drum. Where do I find it? The forest, beneath the roots of the fallen Iroko. Bring it back, or the sickness will spread. When he opened his eyes, the villagers stared in silence, waiting. His voice shook as he spoke. The spirits say the water is cursed. A sacred stone from the old well was stolen long ago. We must find it, or the sickness will not leave. Some groaned, others shouted angrily, always the spirits, always riddles. Why should we dig in the forest like fools? But desperation drove them. The next morning, Aanu led the men to the forest. After hours of searching, they found the roots of a great Iroko tree, long fallen and half buried. Beneath it, they unearthed a small black stone, smooth as polished iron. With trembling hands, Aanu carried it back to the old well. He placed it at the edge, then struck his drum 3 times. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. The earth rumbled. The stone glowed faintly, then sank into the soil. Moments later, the river's water cleared before their eyes, running fresh and sweet once again. That very night, the sick child sat up, his fever broken. Others who had been ill began to recover within days. The village rejoiced. Women sang, men clapped, and even the elders marveled. But not all hearts were glad. As Aanu walked through the crowd, some bowed their heads in gratitude. Others shrank back, whispering, if he can heal water, can he not poison it too? His power grows. Who will control him when he is grown? What child speaks with spirits unless he is one of them? Aanu heard every word, though he kept his eyes down. That night, when the village slept, he sat by his mother's hut, drumming softly to himself. The rhythm comforted him, but it also whispered warnings. They rejoice today, Tomorrow they will turn against you. Beware, child of sound, beware. And though he was only 12, tears rolled down his cheeks. For deep inside, he knew the drums spoke the truth. For a short while, peace returned to Okuta. The rains balanced, the rivers ran sweet, and the sick recovered. Life should have gone back to normal, but it didn't. The village no longer looked at Aanu the same way. When he walked through the market, women lowered their voices. When children ran toward him, their mothers pulled them back sharply. If he touched a gourd of palm wine, the owner sometimes refused to drink from it afterward. At first, Aanu tried to ignore it. He still played with his drum by the stream, still helped his mother fetch firewood, still smiled at those who met his gaze. But the whispers grew louder. That boy is no child. He is a vessel. Today he heals. Tomorrow he may strike us down. Why does his drum speak like a man's tongue? It is not natural. One evening, a goat went missing from the compound of Elder Jer. Though no proof was found, someone muttered, "Perhaps the Thunder Child called it into the forest with his drum." By nightfall, the whole village was repeating the story. Another time, when lightning struck a tree near the river, people claimed they had heard Aanu drumming earlier that afternoon. "Do you not see?" they hissed. "He commands the storm." Even those who once defended him began to waver. Baba Te, the oldest elder, still believed in the boy's gift, but his voice trembled now when he spoke in Aanu's favor. "Fear blinds you," he told the others. "The spirits chose him for a reason, but fear is a fire that spreads faster than truth." One night during a moon dance, Aanu joined the drummers. As soon as his hands touched the skin of his drum, the crowd went still. The rhythm rose, sweet, strong, alive. But instead of joy, unease swept over the dancers. Some clutched their chests as if the drumbeat pulled at their hearts. Others swore they heard voices in the rhythm, calling their names. Suddenly, a woman collapsed, trembling as if possessed. The dance stopped. Torches flickered wildly. People screamed. "She is bewitched. It is the boy's doing. His drum calls spirits to seize us." Aanu dropped his drum in shock. "No, I did nothing. I only played." But his cries were drowned by panic. Men dragged the fainting woman away, and the crowd surged with fear. That night, the village was divided more sharply than ever. Some argued that Aanu had saved them before and could not be condemned. Others demanded he be sent away before he destroyed them all. Mama Enyo held her son tightly, whispering through her tears, "Be strong, Aanu. A tree that grows tall will always face strong winds." But Aanu felt the winds were no longer just strong. They were turning into a storm aimed at him. The fear of the people grew into anger. For days after the moon dance, the village buzzed with arguments. Some said the fainting woman had only been weak with hunger. Others swore she had been seized by spirits. But no one could deny what they had felt, that Aanu's drum carried power beyond any ordinary rhythm. At the elders' council, voices clashed beneath the Iroko tree. "He is dangerous." "The rain, the healing, have you forgotten so soon?" "Do you not see, old man?" another elder sneered. "That is the trick of spirits. They bless with one hand and curse with the other. Today he saves, tomorrow he destroys. The boy cannot stay." The crowd that had gathered around the council roared in agreement. Fear had turned their hearts into stone. That night, men with torches stormed Mama Enyo's hut. She ran outside, clutching Aanu to her chest. "What do you want?" she cried. The leader spat on the ground. "The boy must leave. Tonight. Take him beyond the forest and never return. If you resist, we will cast him into the river ourselves." Aanu's small hands gripped his mother's wrapper tightly. "Mama, please." But Mama Enyo's eyes were fierce, wet with tears. She stood tall, facing the crowd. "My son has harmed no one. You dance when he brings rain. You cheer when he heals your children, and now you drive him out like a dog?" The villagers shifted uneasily, but fear silenced their guilt. Baba Te hobbled forward. raising his staff. Do not do this. The ancestors will not forgive the rejection of a chosen child. But Elder Jair struck the ground with his walking stick. Enough! The boy leaves, or we leave him to the river. The decision was final. At dawn, Mama Enyo packed what little she could carry: a calabash of water, dried yam, and Aanu's beloved drum. As they walked toward the edge of the forest, people watched from their doorways. Some wept quietly, others spat, muttering curses. Just before the trees swallowed them, Baba Te hobbled after them, pressing something into Aanu's hands, a small carved amulet of an ancestor's face. Do not lose this, the old man whispered. One day the truth of your gift will be seen. Until then, survive. Aanu nodded, fighting back tears. The boy who had saved his village, who had given it rain and healing, now walked into exile. Behind him, the sound of his drum echoed faintly in the morning air. Ba-dum, ba-dum-dum, ba-dum. And though he walked away, the spirits followed. At first, Okuta felt relief when Aanu was gone. The nights seemed quieter without the strange drum beats drifting from Mama Enyo's hut. Children slept peacefully, and the market women claimed the air felt lighter. Some even boasted, "Have you noticed? Since the boy left, no thunder shakes the sky, no shadows follow us." But peace built on fear is fragile. Only 3 moons had passed before trouble returned. First came the animals. Goats bleated madly in the night, breaking their ropes and running into the bush. Chickens stopped laying eggs. Dogs gathered in circles at the edge of the village, howling as if mourning the dead. Then came the sickness. Unlike before, it did not strike only a few. It spread swiftly from child to elder, from hut to hut. Fever burned, skin broke in rashes, and some vomited blood. Healers worked day and night, but their herbs were useless. "This is worse than the drought," the women wailed. "At least then we had strength. Now the sickness eats us alive." In desperation, the elders gathered again, but without Baba Te, whose old age had claimed him soon after Anu's exile. The council was weaker, colder. "Perhaps it is the spirits," one muttered. "Perhaps," another whispered. "It is the boy." The words hung heavy in the air. "If he brought the rain," Elder Jair said slowly, "then perhaps he also carried away our protection when he left. The spirits were tied to him. We may have cast away our only shield." The council sat in uneasy silence. No one wanted to say it aloud, but all were thinking the same thing. Far from the village, deep in the forest, Aanu and his mother lived in a small clearing. They survived on wild fruits, streams, and what little Mama Enyo could trap or gather. Life was harsh, but Aanu still had his drum. At night, he played softly, speaking with the spirits who never left him. One evening, as the fire crackled low, Aanu's drumming slowed, his head tilted. The spirits' voices were urgent. "Child of sound. Okuta suffers. Their sickness is the curse of rejection. They cast away the covenant when they cast you out. The village will fall unless you return." Aanu froze. His heart was torn. Return? After they spat on me? After they drove us into the forest like outcasts? The drum throbbed under his palms. "The gift is not for you alone. It is for all. Whether they love you or hate you, your rhythm is their lifeline." Mama Enyo, who had been listening quietly, touched his shoulder. "My son, what do the spirits say?" "They say Okuta will die without me," Aanu whispered. His mother closed her eyes, pain etched across her face. "Then you must go back. Even if they do not deserve you, you cannot let your people perish." Tears stung Aanu's eyes, but he nodded. He would return, not as the boy they rejected, but as the drummer who spoke with spirits, their only hope. When Aanu and his mother stepped out of the forest, the village of Okuta was unrecognizable. The once busy market was silent. Huts stood empty, their doors ajar. Smoke curled faintly from dying fires. Along the paths people lay weak, their bodies thin, their eyes hollow with suffering. Some gasped when they saw him. The boy, the Thunder Child, has returned. Is it a curse or mercy? But most were too weak to protest. Mothers simply clutched their sick children closer, their eyes pleading without words. Elder Jer, now gaunt and trembling from fever, was carried out to face them. His voice rasped like dry leaves. Aanu, we were wrong. If the spirits still hear you, save us. Save Okuta. Anu's gaze swept over the people who had once cheered, then cursed him. His chest tightened with both sorrow and anger. You cast me out, he said softly. You feared my gift. Why should I help you now? A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some wept openly. Others whispered prayers. Mama Enyo touched her son's shoulder. Aanu? Bitterness is a chain heavier than any curse. You are more than their fear. You are the drummer chosen by the spirits. Play. Aanu swallowed hard. He set down his drum. As his hand struck the skin, the air shifted. The rhythm rose, deep and urgent, vibrating through the ground, the huts, the very bones of the people. Ba-dum, ba-dum-dum, ba-dum. The sound grew until it seemed the forest itself was drumming with him. Then the voices came, louder than ever, filling him, almost breaking him. Child of sound, the sickness will end if you give yourself fully, not just your rhythm, your life force. The covenant must be sealed in blood and spirit. Aanu faltered. My life? The drum beat back. Yes, a gift cannot remain half-given. To heal them, you must pour yourself into the rhythm until nothing remains. Only then will the curse break. His eyes blurred with tears. He was only a boy. He had dreams yet unspoken, songs yet unplayed. But around him he saw his people, fathers, mothers, children, all dying. If he refused, they would vanish. If he agreed, he would vanish instead. A hush fell as the villagers watched him battle silently with his choice. Finally he lifted his head, his face calm, resolute. If my life is the price, let it be paid. He struck the drum with all his strength. Ba-dum, ba-dum-dum, ba-dum. The rhythm rose higher, faster, fiercer, until the very air trembled. The torches flickered, the earth shook, and the villagers clutched each other in awe and terror. Aanu's eyes glowed with white fire as his voice joined the beat, chanting words no one understood. Then, sudden stillness. Aanu slumped forward over the drum. At that very moment, the sickness broke. The fever lifted from the sick like a cloak falling away. Children stirred, elders sat up, color returned to pale faces. A cry of joy erupted, spreading like wildfire. But when they turned back to thank their savior, their joy faltered. Aanu lay motionless, his hands still resting on the drum. His chest did not rise. His eyes, once so full of life, were closed forever. Mama Enyo screamed, clutching her son's body. The villagers fell to their knees, wailing in grief and shame. The boy they had feared, cast out, cursed, had given his very life to save them. And in the silence that followed, the drum gave one last soft beat on its own, as if bidding farewell. Ba-dum. For 3 days and nights, Okuta mourned. No drumbeat was heard, no song rose from the throats of its people. The air was thick with grief. Mama Enyo sat beside her son's body, refusing food, refusing comfort. My boy gave his life for you, she whispered again and again, and you cast him out like a dog. The elders decreed that Aanu would be buried at the heart of the village, where the talking drum had first spoken to him. They laid him gently in the earth, his drum placed upon his chest, its skin still warm with the memory of his final beat. When the last mound of soil was patted down, Elder Jer raised his frail voice to the crowd. Okuta, let this be written on the wind and the stone. We feared the gift, yet it was the gift that saved us. We cast out the chosen one, Yet it was he who restored us. Let no child again be despised for the fire placed within them. From that day, Aanu was remembered not as a cursed child, but as Aanu the spirit drummer, the boy who spoke with the unseen and saved Okuta at the cost of his life. His grave became a sacred place. Travelers came from distant lands to lay kola nuts and cowries on the mound, praying for protection. Children who showed strange talents were no longer shunned, but watched with awe, for the people now believed that spirits walked with the gifted. Mama Enyo never remarried, never left Okuta. Each evening she sat at her son's grave, speaking to him as though he still listened. Some said they heard faint drumming beneath the earth when she wept, a gentle rhythm answering her sorrow. Years passed. Okuta flourished again, its farms rich, its children strong, its people wiser. Yet every year, on the night of the great rain, the villagers gathered in the square. They lit torches, sang and beat drums in unison, not to summon spirits, but to honor the boy who had given everything for them. And on those nights, when the drumming reached its peak, some swore they felt a presence among them, a rhythm too pure to be human, echoing in their chests, a reminder, a warning, a legacy. The drummer who spoke with spirits had become eternal. Like and subscribe for more stories.